In the tradition of the Victorian Railways, we're running a little bit behind time, but never mind. I'm glad to see that the rail motor driver today, he would have done the Victorian Railways proud. He actually stopped with a passenger door beside a crack in the platform down there, where a great big tree landed some months ago. The tree's gone, but the platform's still here. Welcome, everybody. Members, friends, and distinguished guests. I'd like to welcome a number of distinguished guests before we start. Firstly, the Mayor of the Hepburn Shire, Councillor Don Henderson, who is over here on my immediate left. At least the dogs like you, Don. And also the Birchward councillors, Councillor Kate Redwood, AM, and Councillor Pierre Nicholas, AM and PM we call them. He's around here somewhere. Oh, there he is, hiding behind the fence post. When I'm not being the company secretary of the Tourist Railway, I'm the Holcombe Ward councillor on Hepburn Shire, Councillor Bill McClenaghan, so I'm here too. Also, we have a member of the state government here today, Mr. Geoff Howard, MLA, from the member for Ballarat East. Welcome, Geoff. Where are you? There he is. Okay. We also have the Chief Executive Officer of the Hepburn Shire, Mr. Aaron van Egmond, and two of his offspring. I think Aaron will be here somewhere. I don't know where the offspring would be. Oh, he's got one of them in hand. I don't know about the other one, but it'll be there somewhere. Okay. And I don't know if I've neglected anybody except to say that Catherine King is an apology today. And another person who would have been here, I'm sure if he could have been, is Senator John Madigan, the Senator for Victoria. John is one of the very, very early members who has a membership, or had a membership number of less than 100. In fact, it's good to see a couple of members here who do have a very low membership number. They've come here today to see the railway that they were involved in from 1981 onwards, when it was only a society. It became a company in 1983, and it's gone from bigger to better things ever since. So it's good to see a lot of older members today, as well as current volunteers, and a lot of our friends from the local community, as well as councillors and a state government politician whose generous donation to the railway has meant that we've been able to do a lot more up here than we would have otherwise been able to do. So thank you, Geoff, and to the state government. It's my... Yes, that is worth a hand. It's not easy to get money out of the government. It's even harder to get money out of the Shire, and Hepburn Shire actually kicked in $50,000, which is a lot of money for Hepburn Shire to give to anybody, to assist with track repairs in the Bullarto section. Thank you, Don. I know you were very much behind that. I didn't vote for it at all. I wasn't allowed to be in the room when they took that vote. You know what happens to councillors who have undeclared conflicts of interest, don't you? Yes, well, we step outside the room when anything to do with the railway is mentioned. So today we're here at Bullarto, and it's a great sense of deja vu I'm feeling today, because I've done this twice now. In the mid-1990s, the railway was extended from Musk to Bullarto. It opened to Musk in about 1991, and about 1995-96 it extended up to Bullarto. And it was one of those years when you work on the Bullarto section, we conjure up a La Nina, which means it just starts raining. In that year it started raining on the 1st of July, and it kept raining every day until the 1st of December, and then someone turned the tap off. And it was a bit like that over the last year, with the works in the Bullarto section being absolutely hamstrung by the weather, which is why it's taken as long as it has to get the railway restored to Bullarto. But back then, in the mid-1990s, here we were working on this track up here in the rain, in the snow, in goodness knows all sorts of weather. And I can remember working with John Madigan up here through the week, and a couple of contract gangers, Gary and Charlie. Charlie's still around, he lives at Cockatoo. Gary unfortunately met his end on a motorbike at Blampede in the late 1990s. But we opened it once, then the Musk Vale bushfire in 2009 wiped out the Musk section and prevented trains and restoration trolleys getting up here. So naturally the Bullarto section fell into disrepair. It's taken a long time and a lot of hard work and some very, very useful track machinery to put this track back together. Now, I'm not going to steal Stuart's thunder except to say that this is the culmination of a very, very big project over a long period of time with a lot of very, very dedicated volunteers. And I think it's absolutely magnificent to see a train standing here again in the Bullarto station. If you look around you, you will see Bullarto, which is the highest railway station in Victoria. It was when they built it in the 1880s, in 1880 actually. As soon as they built the Cudgewar line, Shelley was 100 feet higher. When they closed Shelley, Bullarto became the highest station again until they closed this line. And this is now definitely the highest railway station in Victoria, without a doubt. So it's quite a privilege to be standing here on the top of the range, on the top of the VR system on the Daylesford Spa Country Railway. And when you look around us, you'll see what made this line what it was in the early days. Timber and spuds. The spud paddocks we passed on the way, the big stands of beautiful timber that were cut down and put onto railway wagons and railed off elsewhere. These were the mainstays of the line. And even as passenger numbers dwindled, timber and spuds and mineral water from down the road there continued to keep trains running out of here with good payloads. Folks, it's great to see you here today. I'm not going to bore you anymore. I'm not on council today, so I don't have to. So I'd like to hand over now to the President of the Daylesford Spa Country Railway, Mr. Stuart Smithwick, who will tell you a lot more about the project and where we've all come. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Bill, and you have stolen most of my thunder because everything I've got written down here you've pretty much covered. But I'll go through it just for the sake to bore everyone. So, but yes, unfortunately Catherine King can't be with us today. Labor Party sent her interstate. But I'd like to welcome Geoff Howard, the Mayor Don Henderson, all the other councillors that are here with us today. Today's been a journey. That journey started 17 years ago on this date, when we first ran the first official train to Bullarto after a gap of 18 years. When the line was closed in 78, it took 18 years to come here, and then another 17 years to get back again. So it's a bit of a hop, skip and a jump, I think. But since that date, 17 years ago, thousands of passengers have travelled on the train to the higher station of Bullarto, and many of them thoroughly enjoy it because they keep coming back. And many of those passengers were very patient and waited those 5 years, and have all joined us again, the same faces. They keep coming back, and obviously they do enjoy what we do, and but it's always good. But that journey stopped abruptly on the 23rd of February 2009, a couple of weeks after Black Saturday, and the devastation that did bring to Victoria. But that devastation hit us, and that bushfire burnt through a mile of track in the forest between Daylesford and Musk, and that changed the ballpark for everything that we did. No longer could we take the trains to Bullarto, let alone Musk. So we patiently waited and lobbied and asked and begged for some support from whichever service that could provide that support. And fortunately the state government, in conjunction with the Bendigo Bank, were generous enough and gave us that support, and we returned trains once again to Musk in August 2010. But Musk was only halfway. There was still this other 5 kilometres of track that was very tired, as it turned out. We couldn't get our machinery there to look after it. We were focusing getting that track back to Musk so we could have a decent train service. And yeah, that track basically fell into disrepair. and we needed, it was well beyond our resources of the time, because obviously financially we were struggling a little bit because the revenue wasn't coming in. So once again we went seeking that support, and this time round the federal government through Catherine King came to our aid, and this is a big name of the grant that we got, but it's Your Community Heritage Program Recovering from Natural Disasters, and that grant was to the tune of $128,000. At the same time we lobbied the Shire and all of the councillors, most of whom are here today, and they were very generous with Shire funds, and contributed $50,000 towards that project. And obviously they must be proud to see that what has come from that $50,000. And then the railway ourselves threw in about $50,000 of our own cash funds, plus $147,000 worth of material and in-kind labour. Now volunteers are counted at $15 an hour. Now if I was being paid $15 an hour I wouldn't do half of that work. But about the same time, or just before the grant was going through the motions, the gentleman that's with us today paid us a visit and said he had some track machinery that he was keen to get rid of, and really turned the whole project around. From what was planned would have probably taken 2 or 3 years to actually do the work, ended up being 15 months. Basically because John Holland Rail were extremely generous and donated probably a couple of $1 million worth of machinery, which was surplus to their needs. But there was a little bit of effort to get them going again. They weren't ultra modern and they weren't ready to go, so we had to spend a fair bit of effort. I won't say some of the words that were mentioned at the time, but getting them going. But it definitely turned that whole project around. That project was something that we'd never attempted at that scale beforehand. The railway's been about 30 years in the making, and nothing the size and scale of that was something just we never even contemplated. But yeah, welcome to Bullarto. But just to give you some figures for the statisticians that are amongst us, we removed about 500 cubic metres of leaf litter off the track. There's some interesting photos of how that was done, but you'll have to get on the internet and have a look. 2,225 sleepers were replaced, which equalled about 12,000 dog spikes, which you've got to drill a hole in the sleeper to put them in first, so that's 12,000 holes. We replaced about 600 metres of rail, 1,150 tonnes of ballast, which is the rock that holds the track together. We tamped and lined the track with one of John Holland's machines, and we put in a new home signal, which is a unique piece of equipment, which is made of timber, about 25 feet high, and it was a big effort, that one. It's a fantastic piece of work. All the while we were keeping those track machines running, which at times was challenging, and yeah, I won't mention those words again. We put in, our volunteers contributed 4,576 hours of their time, all the while the trains kept running. So we had volunteers running the trains, running the station, running the market, everything else, running the whole railway. So that's on top of probably the 10,000 hours of volunteer time. We brought in a few contractors to assist us at times, because some of the work just was beyond our efforts. But we completed all that work in about 15 months. from go to woe. And most of that work took place on weekends. So it was considerable effort. The new buildings that you see behind me today is stage 1 of the Bullarto reconstruction project. Those buildings were funded from the state government's Regional Growth Fund, Putting Locals First program, and that was to the value of $130,800. The construction works were undertaken by GJ and SL Depler Builders, who I thought were going to join us today. They're here. It's good to see them. And as probably everyone has noticed, the workmanship and the quality of that workmanship is fantastic. Now I'm going to be quick because we're going to get wet. Yeah, good on you. Anyway, stage 1. We're going to be lobbying our local members and the Shire, of course, to do stage 2. And I think we're going to have to move. But before I just close, a number of people we've got to thank: the Commonwealth Government, the State Government, the Shire of Hepburn, the Department of Transport, John Holland Rail, the Bendigo Bank, Howell Rail, GJ and SL Depler Builders, the Radio Springs Hotel, the Victorian Goldfields Railway, Jubilee Sawmills, Eco-Friendly Hardwoods, the Puffing Billy Railway, Rob Broad, John Grant, Daylesford Engineering, Boral at Dunstown, and Safety Action. All of those organisations and individuals need to be sincerely thanked for their support that they've given us for this project. But most thanks has to go to the volunteers that put in that 4,576 hours of their time. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, Stuart. No, I didn't steal too much of your thunder, did I?
Not too much.
No, I think I can hear some coming, actually. It's like this up here at Bullarto. It's fine 1 minute, the next minute it's snowing on you, raining on you, or trying to kill you in some way. But anyway, Stuart is right. We need to keep attracting funding from all known sources of funding, so we have to stay on good terms with the Shire. Therefore, today we've invited the councillors, we've even invited the Mayor. And it's my great pleasure now to introduce to you the Mayor of the Hepburn Shire, Councillor Don Henderson from the Creswick Ward. And Don is going to say a few words to us because he has a secret double life that not many people know about. I'll tell you the good bit. And that's the fact that Don is the president of the Creswick Railway Workshops Incorporated, which is a group of local people that lease the Creswick railway station, the old one, and the goods shed, and they've done some magnificent things over there with their community behind them. It's a project that Don and his wife Judy have taken on and really done a good job. The Creswick Railway Workshops are friends of the Daylesford Spa Country Railway. On that note, I am pleased to introduce Councillor Don Henderson, the Mayor of the Hepburn Shire.
Well, thanks Councillor McClenaghan, or Mr Secretary. I think that you've heard all about the works that have to take place, and one wonders how you get $50,000 out of the Hepburn Shire. I know how you don't get it if you're over in Creswick, but we'll get there one day. When this first came to us, I looked at the figures, and we just built a shed down at the Daylesford area, and I was amazed to see the amount of economic development that this place had brought to the Hepburn Shire. People think it's just a little railway. Well, attached to that is a market where you see Bill running around. I don't know if the figures are correct, but at the time it was given to me and researched independently, and it actually brings in around about $14.6 million into this region, which is an amazing amount. And everyone says, what's your biggest tourist attraction? Is it spa? Is it wellbeing? Well, probably it's not. It's probably this railway and the things associated with it, like the market. So it's a no-brainer for the Hepburn Shire to be looking after such a wonderful money spinner for the town. Where else could you put $50,000 and get that value back? This group don't come with a handout. They come with, yeah, they have the handout, but they have a lot of other hands that put things back into this community. So from an economic point of view, and I'm not the one to talk about economic rationalism, I can tell you that, but just from that point of view alone, the Hepburn Shire has made an investment. The government indeed has made an investment. But the biggest investment that we have in our Shire is volunteers like we've got here. You can't do things. Bill's mentioned what we've done over at Creswick with the derelict station. People say, oh, isn't it nice? But they don't see the calluses that you have on your hands to get there. And these things, it's hard grinding work. I know Stuart said, you don't do that sort of work for 15 bucks an hour. Well, he's done it for nothing. He's even worse. He's given it away for nothing, and with a great deal of generous spirit as well. It's good to see the state and federal government, and in fact all levels of government, contributing to a project like this. I see the kids here, they enjoy it. So it's a new generation of people that come. Old fellas like me, someone over here said, where did I get the grey hair? Well, I reckon Eleanor, you actually got it naturally, and my hairdresser puts it in. But that's what happens. People get older, we need a new generation of volunteers that come through. And I can see a young fella there, he might get interested in trains. Very good, come along, help, because the young people are the future of any project. The work here, I noticed when we came out, a heritage railway. I expected a smooth ride, but I was pleasantly surprised. They've put all the bumps and knocks in there like it used to have. Why have a smooth ride when you can have a ride just like that one? It is really a tribute to everybody that's done things. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. I know you want to get on that train and have a good time. There's an awful looking ribbon over there. I'm wondering if there's anyone on horseback, because I don't want any right-wingers coming and cutting the thing. I'm thinking of the bridge today, Sydney Swan supporter, and I don't want anyone riding in on a horse and cutting that ribbon. So what about we cut that ribbon and actually declare this thing officially open? What about that? Where's the thing? There we go. Look at that.
I'd also just like to say that since I became the member for Ballarat East, I was really pleased to get to know more about Daylesford Spa Country Rail, the crew, whether it was Stuart, whether it was John, whether it was Bill, or whoever kept in touch with me to let me know what their plans were and what their challenges were. They've had lots over the years, as you've heard, and I've been pleased to see that state government's been able to assist, and that in this project they've had the federal funding to support them, as well as council. So the great work that these volunteers have done has been rewarded. I hope it continues to be rewarded and bring benefits to this municipality and to the many people who come from elsewhere to travel on the train. And I'm really pleased to be here today. The very last thing I'd say is, of course, this is one of the last times I'll come out onto this train as the member for Ballarat East and as the state representative for this area, because at the state elections later this year, I'll be representing standing for the electorate of Buninyong, and that Daylesford moves and Bullarto and this area all moves into the Macedon electorate. I'm pleased that Mary Ann Thomas, the Labor candidate for Macedon, is here with me today. So it's a matter of Stuart and others speaking to her to get those commitments from her for the future, for the new station as you plan, and I hope that we'll get a great commitment from our side of politics as you did ahead of the last election, and that we'll be able to deliver on that. Thanks, Stuart, and thanks everyone else.
Thanks, Geoff. And just before afternoon tea, I'll just tell you what one word in Aboriginal dialect means. That word up there on the sign, Bullarto, I understand is an Aboriginal word. It means a lot. A lot. A lot of cold, a lot of rain, a lot of snow, a lot of work. But Bullarto means a lot, as in plenty. because the Aborigines regarded this area as a land of plenty. Thank you all again for coming. Enjoy this wonderful day, this wonderful experience. Bullarto has turned on all the weather to make you feel right at home. Please go down there and enjoy our hospitality for afternoon tea. Thank you so much again. We wish you a safe homecoming, and for those of you who are travelling on the train, enjoy the bumpy ride. Thank you.